What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope you're doing very well, having a good Wednesday. Who says that nothing happens during an international break, eh? We're worried. We're worried that nothing's going to happen, and everything that's going on with Manchester United at the moment, you're like, I tell you what, good. We have 2.5 weeks off because I'm just kind of done with it. And just when you think you're out, they suck you right back in.
They do.
And that's exactly what happens. Because there are huge developments with Manchester United and the search for a new permanent manager. Ten Hag has been interviewed by Manchester United and talks were reportedly positive. I'm joined by my partner in crime, DJ. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good. Just as you said, when there's a little bit of a break, we always keep our ear to the ground and news is surfacing really quick and it should be picking up within the next couple of days to the next few weeks. So I'm here for it, man.
Me too. I'm here for it too. Before we get even into this, we've got a super chat already. That's got to be a record.
Out the gate.
From Sashiv. Right out the gate. Start as you mean to go on, folks. That's what you need to do. Says, big up and good news regarding about Ten Hag. Yes, let's get into said news. So late Tuesday night, this news broke, and you're going to have to bear with me, folks, because there's a lot. There's a lot. So it was first broken by the Daily Mail. Chris Wheeler and Sami Mokabel said that Ten Hag has been interviewed for the Manchester United job. He spoke to United on Monday. Sources say a number of candidates are being interviewed. It continues. Manchester United are urging caution over Ten Hag speculation. Sources insist that a research process was completed at the start of March, allowing initial conversations with candidates to get underway, which have now evolved into interviews. Pochettino, his odds of becoming Manchester United manager have drifted in recent days, and there is a growing suspicion in Pochettino's camp that the job is now Ten Hag's to lose. Ajax, we'll speak about Ajax in a second, Ajax have indicated that they will not stand in Ten Hag's way and have a good relationship with Manchester United through Edwin van der Sar, but there would still be compensation in the region of £4 million. As I mentioned, Manchester United say there's a long way to go in the process of hiring a new manager, and there is no front runner right now. Now, that was last night. So that's a lot there.
Yeah.
But that was last night.
Yeah.
That's last night. And that's just one outlet. So you go, well, okay, one outlet. We'll wait and see. We didn't have to wait that long, DJ, because this morning, boom, it continues. Essentially, that same report was echoed by pretty much every outlet that you can think of, really. And it's all very, very much the same kind of wording and phrasing as well. So saying that Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United are happy with Ten Hag's level of English, but the final decision will involve many factors, which is interesting too, because Melissa Reddy from Sky Sports has said, actually, that whole idea we're happy with his English has actually been ridiculed in Holland, or like he's got a low level of English, or he needed lessons or improvements, given that Ten Hag was educated in English, uses it at Ajax, uses it to relay tactical instructions, and has even done press conferences and interviews, which I think everyone has seen in English. This idea that, maybe he needs to work on the English kind of thing, is everyone's kind of gone, what? I'm not sure about the English situation there. Sky Sports Dharma Chef has said that these talks with Manchester United were described as positive. United are impressed with his vision and philosophy. Good relationships with Ajax allowed these talks to happen. And during this meeting, I am getting to the end of this. During this meeting, Ten Hag wanted to hear about the club's budget and plans for the future. He feels ready to try the Premier League experience soon. DJ, your thoughts on the news?
Wow. So just a whole cluster of news in the last 24 hours. Literally, like I've been trying to follow the developments as they're breaking, and we've had all sort of like the journalists coming out with their version of events. I think it's just clear now that it is potentially his to lose. I think United are playing it cool by saying, there's other factors, and I'm sure there will be, but I think they have their main man in the sights. I think it's an easy enough deal to get done, as we have great relationship with Edwin van der Sar. And Ten Hag, he is going to be that brand new rebuild. I'm quite confident that he does come in as our new Manchester United full-time manager. I think some of the key things that stand out for me, Owen, is that he would have asked about, the salary, the budget, and it may have been satisfactory for them. So I'm thinking, what have the board said to him to promise him that he's going to have a good summer transfer window? Because as we know, and I'm sure Ten Hag hasn't really been following United as much as we do as fans, but there's a mess coming this summer. We have a lot of players that need to go. We have A lot of players on high contracts. So I wonder if that was even discussed in the meeting. I'm sure it would have been. But I just would like to know, kind of from the other side, what did the board actually say to him to get him on board, to even think that this is a good opportunity for him? That's my question. I'm always skeptical of Manchester United, but nevertheless, it is good news. It is good news.
It is good news. I think that, again, it's quite curious that every outlet is saying, I mean, not just similar thing, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. So you could probably maybe look at it as they've all heard something similar. Maybe it's from Ten Hag's camp, Ajax camp, Manchester United, and they've gone to United and say, hey, Ten Hag, what's going on there? And they go, well, hey, it's too early to say. It's too early to say. There's a long way to go. What do you make of that whole there's a long way to go and early days kind of stuff involving Ten Hag?
Yeah, I think it's just something that it's like a little disclaimer. They've just got to protect their interests just in case, let's say at the 11th hour, it falls through. I don't know, maybe Ten Hag changes his mind. Then United can have a little bit of deniability there to save face and say, oh, well, we did say that, it is early days. Blah, blah, blah. I think it's just more so just to not get everyone's expectations up in case it does fall through. I think there's a strong inclination that it's going to go through, strong inclination that he is number one on the list. I think that's, and largely part due to the compensation fee around 4 to 5 million that United would have to pay. So I do think that he is the number one. I just think United are just treading a little bit carefully because the news is filtering out all over Europe, all over the world at the moment. His name is trending on Twitter. It's starting to pick up steam. Everybody's talking about it. So I think United are just trying to be a bit cautious, trying to be a bit careful.
Levin's in the chat, says, my guys, big up Levin. Go check him out.
Big up Levin, man.
You know what? I think the way I look at the whole, it's too early to tell. And look, we're going to talk to other people. The way I see it, and this is the analogy that I was thinking about, is that, when like your mates come up to you and they say, hey, I hear you going out with so-and-so. And you go, look, it's early days.
Yeah.
It's early days. I don't really know what's going on. It's early days, all that kind of stuff. But deep down, you've caught feelings.
You don't
want to tell your friends. You don't want to tell your friends you've caught feelings. But
Yeah.
You know deep down that you have. And you know that you're in trouble. But you go, this is early. This is early to be catching feelings here. I've got to chat to other people. I've got to save face, as you say. That's kind of the situation, I think. Because if this does fall through, as you mentioned, if all this stuff comes out and then it goes, I know maybe Ten Hag has a change of heart, right? Yeah. And he goes, actually, you know what? I'm not sold on the project. It's a bit of a mess there, not feeling it. Or if he just goes, you know what? I'll do another season at Ajax. Or if another job comes available to him, right? Mm-hmm. Who says that another club won't come chasing Ten Hag? And then he turns United down. That's when United can say, look, well, there's plenty of people. This is a long process, guys. So we're chatting to other people, all that kind of stuff. Now, it has been reported that they want to still meet with Pochettino, Luis Enrique, and Julian Lopetegui. Would you now consider then Ten Hag not only the front runner, and do you even think that United are going to speak to those people?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they will. I think they would be fools not to speak to everybody else. I think it's, fairness as well, and they're doing their due diligence. Even though Ten Hag might be their front runner in their eyes, it's kind of like a win-win-win. Great brand of football, but I still think what they can't do is upset the apple cart with the other sort of contenders for the job, because again, we never know what's going to happen. So it'd be in United's interest to still have the ongoing interviews with the rest of the managerial candidates and then go from there. I think they need to cover all their bases, no shortcuts here. Even if Ten Hag impressed so much during the interview, still have the other interviews, because you just never know in football.
It's like that with any recruitment process as well. Like when you're recruiting for a job, you don't just interview one person most of the time.
Yeah.
You always, even if the first interview you have, so when you go for a job interview, right? And you walk out there, you go, I tell you what, I've just nailed that. I've nailed that interview. I've got the job. But what do they always say at the end of it? Well, we've got some other interviews. We'll talk to other people.
Yeah.
That's what they always say.
Because
they've got to. Yeah. It's smart business, because you never know, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that comparison, don't you? You can't just judge them against nobody. You have to be like, okay, I really liked that person, but let's just double check. And then you have a couple more interviews and you go, okay, no, decision, that's definitely the guy. And that's kind of what I feel like at the moment. These reports are saying that United want it wrapped up by the end of March, which, by the way, folks, is next week. So like that's crazy in itself. It's April next week. Gosh, how time flies.
Flying.
It is flying. But So I think an April announcement probably looks more likely. The issue is, and I would really recommend, guys, especially with all of this Ten Hag stuff coming out over the course of the last 24 hours, go and watch Flex's chat with Ajax last night from We Talk Ajax. If you really want a proper in-depth discussion about Erik Ten Hag, what he offers, his philosophy, the viewpoints over in Holland, I think go and watch it. I mean, Ajax every single time just hits it out of the park. Phenomenal stuff. Because I mean, we've said this before, haven't we, here on the channel, that sometimes as Manchester United fans, we get excited. We see on social media, we see the Champions League games, but we don't really know the day-to-day. We don't know the bread and butter of Ten Hag. We don't know the bread and butter of the Eredivisie. And it's always fascinating to hear their perspective of it. And I do look at this whole idea of, they want it wrapped up in 2 weeks. Ajax are in a title race. They aren't going to want news coming out of, our manager's leaving at the end of the season. Imagine that costs them the title.
Yeah, exactly.
So how likely do you think an announcement is going to be in the next 10 days or couple of weeks?
I think the announcement, I just don't think it will come just yet. I think behind the scenes, the deal will be done now. I think, having watched football nearly all my life, deals get done behind the scenes and they sometimes get announced weeks, maybe even months later. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not really worried about that. I think what we will see, though, slightly moving topic, is we might start seeing other managers start coming into the fray in terms of Pochettino. I think they may say, Pochettino had an amazing interview. United are now,
that's true,
like weighing it up kind of thing. I think there's going to be a few more twists and turns. I do ultimately think it might be Ten Hag, but still, I think everything depends. We've got PSG is still doing what they need to do as well. So no, I don't think an announcement will come just yet, or it might be some sort of like soft announcement, like Erik Ten Hag says he's going to weigh up his future at the end of the season, or he wants a new challenge, or just something along the lines to give us inclination.
What he's kind of been doing at Ajax. Ajax was saying that last night, of when he's been asked, what does your future look like? He does the classic, just thinking about the here and now, brother. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just thinking about the here and now, focused on it game by game. We'll address that at the end of the season, all that kind of stuff. And that's very, which direction that's kind of going
where that's going
as well. And I think you are right. I mean, while maybe pen isn't put to paper, there certainly could be a kind of informal agreement of, okay, everyone knows the score. Yeah. We'll announce it once you've won the title, or announce it once, you're ready and comfortable for it, but the deal might be done. That could be true. I mean, essentially, look, it happened with Jose when he came into Manchester United, right? Yeah. Man United won the FA Cup, and then literally, 30 minutes later, it was Jose Mourinho is going to be the Manchester United manager next season. That was it. That was that quick. Yeah. And that would imply then that deal was done way, way in advance. And this could be a similar situation, right? Yeah,
definitely. I do think that that has a possibility. It also depends when these other candidates are going to be interviewed. I'm guessing today, throughout this week, possibly. I'm not sure how they're doing it. If they're doing it a manager a day, a couple a day, I don't know how they're doing it. But if they really want it wrapped up sort of by the end of next week, it needs to be kind of done quite quickly. And I'm telling you now, the next 48 hours to 72 hours are going to be absolutely crazy, because there's going to be more reports coming about other managers, 100%. And we never know, United's attention could turn elsewhere. It really could. So we just got to be on the edge of your seat.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. Do you reckon this could be a situation when it's just like, actually, just Ten Hag just happened to be the first guy that they spoke to?
Yeah.
And actually, when they talk to Poch, or when they talk to Julian Lopetegui, it's, Lopetegui guy's great. And then all this kind of stuff comes out. Could we be seeing something like that as well?
Yeah, and I think, you know what? I think even though Ten Hag might be number one, I do think that United are kind of looking at the best deal for them as well. Because you're going to want a manager that, and I know it goes into sort of that puppet territory and stuff like that. I get it. But they're going to want someone that they can clearly work with. They're going to want someone that's very likable. They're going to want someone that's going to be able to work with them in the best way possible, that they can still kind of get what they need out of, a manager on their side of things. Someone that might not moan too much about funds if there's no funds. Someone that's going to understand the complexities of what's going on behind the scenes. So the type of character, so there's all these type of things that I think United are going to be checking off for themselves. And I think they just want the best candidate for that portion of the job as well. I do think on the field is very important. Obviously, recruitment of players, playing style, but they're also the admin side, I like to call it. The admin side of, is this person going to be able to fit in kind of what we're trying to do. So we'll have to see, I guess.
Sashiv says, where is Flex and KG? Well, I will answer those questions. KG, I'm pretty sure is on set shooting a project, an undisclosed project. I saw that on his story. Flex, I don't know. I spoke to him this morning. usually just get asked, do you want to do so at midday? Sure. Kind of how the situation works. I guess I'm a puppet for Flex. I tell you what I really enjoyed last night as well, DJ, when I was watching the Ajax chat, is when he did his speech about, why Ten Hag, in his opinion, was better than Poch. And he said, in my opinion, you want to love your club again. You want to be proud of how they play football. And he said, that's what Erik Ten Hag can do. And even Flex, who has been somewhat on the fence, and I do kind of agree with him. I do kind of agree with him in the sense that I personally, in my opinion, like I said, I've never either or when it came to Ten Hag or Poch, right? I was a bit like, you know what? I'm happy with either. I'll support either. But when I was watching that last night, I was like, it got me excited.
Ajax sold it really good, man. And big up to Ajax, man. I'm a really big fan of his content as well. I think he gave a good account of Erik Ten Hag. But one of the things that I was really interested in of watching the show yesterday was that his weaknesses, because we always talk about the great stuff about Ten Hag, and I like to know a manager's weaknesses. When the going gets tough or when the tough gets going, let's see how this manager operates. And Ajax did say, Ten Hag has been known to be a little bit stubborn with his selection, maybe making late substitutions, something that we kind of, crucified Oli for. I'm not saying Ten Hag and Oli are the same. I'm not saying that before I get swarmed. I'm just saying it's an observation made by Ajax, who is an Ajax fan. He did say that Ten Hag does,
like
sometimes
for like stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. He does, sometimes not make the correct substitution at the right time. So that's something that we may see, because look, at the end of the day, we've wanted a new manager for a long time. We have. And Rangnick came in, which was kind of a nice sort of stopgap. And then potentially it could be Erik Ten Hag. And it's nice to look at all the plaudits and all the great football and all of that stuff. But we also need to see the weaknesses, because there is no perfect manager. So it is good to see kind of, Ajax was being really open and saying, actually, Ten Hag does do these type of things, which if we saw that in game 1 or game 2 or game 3 from a Manchester United fan perspective, we'd probably jump all over him. So we need to have a balanced view of the man and the manager.
And I think also that's why having those conversations with other fans and all of those other channels is important, because no manager is perfect. And I think we get excited and expect someone to come in and hit the ground running and just be perfection. And like he said last night, he will need time. Any manager would, because there is so much, so much going on when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Do you think he's the guy for the rebuild, though? Because where do you sit, actually? Where do you sit on Ten Hag? Because if you know DJ, look, he's gone to the KG school of flip-flopping, because he has been on this channel and said, yes, Ten Hag is the guy. I like Ten Hag. And then I would go, why? And you go, I don't know. That's not my job. It's not. I'm like, it is. Literally, it is. And then last time you were on here, you're going, look, I've done my research. You came with your reading glasses. You say, look, I've been looking online. I've got some stats, and you were a bit uncertain. Where do you sit now?
I'm still the same. I've been doing a lot of research in the last couple of days from Poch as well, actually. And the stuff that I heard Poch talking about in terms of philosophy and stuff that he likes as a manager was actually really impressive to hear. I think Ten Hag was very impressive to hear as well. I'm still kind of, if he comes, it'll be a great. I think Ten Hag represents a true rebuild, in my opinion. I think if Poch comes in, he can work with many of the players that are there, because the style that he'd want to implement, these players would be able to catch on to it very quickly. I think what Ten Hag's trying to do is a complete different sort of style. It's a style that some of these players, I believe, aren't ready for. It involves highly technical players, and United have a few sprinkled in here or there, but I don't think we have enough in the full 11 and the full squad. So it does represent an actual full rebuild in a sense. I like the fact that he likes to, bring young players in, and he can get the best out of players. Look at Sebastian Haller, who wasn't doing too good at West Ham. Yeah. Tadic, you know what I mean? So he can get best out of players with a system. And I think, we've had Paul Pogba coming out this morning talking about, his time at Man United. And I think Pogba would have benefited from a nice concrete system that he understood and that he could be a part of. So those are the things that impress me. If he does get the job, I'm going to support him. Even if Poch gets the job, I'll support him. But I was just wanted to make it clear to everybody that it is a lot closer than what a lot of people thinks. And even Ajax said the same thing yesterday. So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, look, like we said, he's got a big rebuild job going on at the moment, right? A big rebuild job. And it is somewhat, I guess, of a risk in the sense that Manchester United usually go for the safe option. And this could be said is not really totally the safe option. But is this what we need? At times, we've tried all of these different options. Is this what we need?
Definitely, man. I think that's what the most exciting element about it is that Ten Hag is so different from the other managers that it is a complete sort of like 180 in kind of what we've been doing. It's going to be a complete rebuild. It's going to be a restructure, a complete rebuild, even down to the likes of David De Gea, who's been at the club for a very, very long time since Fergie. So, and that's just speculation. Sorry, guys, I'm going to be a bit speculative, but we may need a new keeper if Ten Hag comes in, because he likes his keepers kind of sweeping, kind of mopping up the back, sort of as that sort of like sixth defender just coming out and clearing the ball and passing and getting involved in the play. De Gea is not necessarily that type of goalkeeper. So it might be that full rebuild where we will see some of our favourites go. But I think it's refreshing. I think there's nothing wrong with a rebuild as long as he is backed totally 100% in finances and with strategy by the Manchester United board.
By the way, guys, a couple of guys saying there's a bit of a buggy thing going on YouTube, I think. By the way, if you can let them know in the chat, we are live. we are live, but for whatever reason, YouTube, StreamYard, or whatever is being funny and saying that we're not. And some people are getting stuck in the waiting room, whatever. So just let people know in the chat that you probably need to refresh. And then we'll pop back up. But if you are watching, be sure to smash a like on the like button. I think we've got over 400 people watching. Here's one. This will get the likes up, DJ, yeah? If you would like Erik Ten Hag to be the next Manchester United manager, click the like button.
Yeah. Hey. I like that.
That's how you go. This is quite interesting as well. So it was also reported that Ralf Rangnick is one of many people at Manchester United who reportedly admire Erik Ten Hag. Now, the problem is when I see these reports now, and it's not just necessarily Erik Ten Hag. When I see any report that says Ralf Rangnick really likes a player, or Ralf Rangnick likes a manager or whatever, I don't buy it anymore, because we saw just a couple of days ago how much influence he truly has in this ongoing process of managers, players, etc. And the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
He's a consultant. I said he's asked Jeeves, which is I did not realize how dated that reference is until
Jeeves is, a lot of people don't know really, what Jeeves is.
No, that's really dated. And I thought, oh my God, it's massively, not great. Nevertheless, what do you think about that? The idea of, Rangnick really likes Ten Hag. Okay, but what does that mean?
Doesn't really mean a lot. As you said, we kind of know now the level of where his consultancy is at the moment. I'm not to say that it won't change, but at this moment in time, he is not being privy to those conversations. He may be hearing stuff around the club, naturally he would, but he's not in those conversations to maybe look at who the next manager could be. There has been interviews where he has spoken about Ten Hag. He has claimed he does not know Ten Hag personally, and you have to big up Levin for this. Me and Levin was having a good laugh just before we went live, and Levin was basically having to correct someone and say, no, Ten Hag and Rangnick do not know each other like that. Professionally, yeah, through football, Rangnick would have seen Ten Hag's Ajax team and vice versa, but they do not have a personal relationship, because there's been a lot of misinformation saying that actually Rangnick and Ten Hag have a good relationship. There is no relationship there, otherwise than a professional one, manager to manager, and that's about it. So, for now, I don't think we can take any information about Rangnick liking this or that manager as anything. It's nothing at the moment. Unless they come out with a full sort of brief and say, Ralf Rangnick is the consultancy, we're consulting him with this, this, and this. We don't know what his role is.
Yeah, because I've been seeing that about players as well. Oh, Rangnick's obsessed with this player. So Manchester United are going all out. And I'm like, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
They're not. They're not though. Like again, the report is there. Ralph Rangnick is not going to be very hands-on in his post interim manager tenure. He's a consultant in the sense of he's just like, when you're on call at the weekends, but you don't have to do any work. Your phone's on, and they might call you and go, "What do you think?" And you go, "Oh, and then they go, "Okay, cheers," and then put it down. Boom. That's it. That's Rangnick's role. So the idea that he would have, I'm sure his opinion might be asked.
Yeah,
that's different.
Yeah.
They might go, "Hey, we interviewed Eric Ten Hag. What do you think about Ten Hag?" I love him. I think he's great. They go, "Oh, hey, you got a personal relationship?" He goes, "No, never met him.
Never met him.
never met him. But I really like his stuff." And they'll go, "Okay, thanks. We'll keep that. We'll keep that under our hat." And that's kind of it,
Yeah.
So, I just, and that is frustrating in general, right? I mean, let's talk about that for a brief second, because how many times this season have we said, I tell you what, guys, Ralph Rangnick, he's going to be interim manager, but his value is off the pitch. His value is really up in the stands. His value is really in that boardroom. And then it comes out as he's not going to be in it.
Yeah. It's a bit annoying, but I do speculate that his role will change slowly. I do think we're still looking for a director of football somewhere in between all of these different roles that are above the manager. And I do think his role will change. I think for now, the right thing is to say, his focus is on the team at this moment in time. We're not asking him about anything else. It's just the team, because remember, the season has essentially finished for us. In terms of we're not playing for really anything, maybe fourth, maybe, and that's even being kind, even saying maybe. But I think we still got full swap to play for. And Rangnick, you know what? Maybe we don't look too much into it. Maybe they're just saying, look, he's concentrating on football at the moment. Once the season is done and the new manager comes in, then maybe they'll expand a little bit more on his role and see where he fits into this jigsaw behind the scenes.
Here's one though. Maybe what would you say if in the interview process, I suppose you have to be careful how you say this considering the people that you would be speaking to in the interview process, but what if, say, Eric Ten Hag or whoever it is in the interview process goes, "Okay, I'm really interested in coming in. This is my philosophy." And, John Murtough, Darren Fletcher, they're like, "I'll tell you what, this guy's good." He goes, "Oh, and one thing, I want to be working with Ralph Rangnick." What happens then?
Wow. Then I think they give, if it's Ten Hag, if it's Poch, they give that man what he wants. At the end of the day, they give that man what he wants, because I think Rangnick...
But do they do that?
I think they
don't do that.
I do think they give him what he wants, but it depends. Like, I think they would have to make a brand new role with all these little bits of asterisks. Okay, he's going to be in charge of X, Y, and Z. But it's going to be a bit weird because you don't want roles to sort of cross over and people to step on each other's toes. Because I think that's been the problem for the last how many years. So they will create sort of a unique position for Ralph Rangnick. I do think that his vote counts at the table, in my opinion. It does. He's managed these guys since Ollie's gone. So he has a very good outlook on the team and the training and everything like that. So I do think that his say is important. So it just depends kind of where he fits in.
Absolutely, it's important. Do you also think, I suppose, look, and we said this before, that this was the time to really get into this manager search. This was the time to get it done. But could you also look at it as, again, considering that Ten Hag, regardless of what people think and all that kind of stuff, Ten Hag is certainly, going by social media, and I know that's not the best metric, but certainly would appear to be the fan favourite or the people's choice, as it were. Do you think United are somewhat cornered by that and thinking, look, we got a fan base that isn't happy because of a decade of real mismanagement, a decade of not winning league titles, haven't won any form of title since 2017. Do you think United are kind of cornered as, maybe even though we might maybe prefer other candidates other than Ten Hag, we've got to go with this guy because there's going to be a mutiny, essentially?
I think, and then this is me being honest, I do think that they shouldn't really buy into any of that. They need to make sure they select the best candidate for Manchester United, for our future, if they are really serious about challenging for titles. And if it isn't Ten Hag, there'll be a lot of fan base that'll be like, "Oh my God, this board can't get anything right and what's going on," sort of thing. But if they've done their due diligence...
I saw you say that the other day,
and I've said that, I did say that. I did say that.
One of my tweets. Literally, that comment was, "This board can't get anything right," or "this club." I mean, I'm swapping out a word, but I remember, DJ.
That's quite accurate. That's quite accurate. That's very accurate. I did say that. But But yeah, I do think.
And he knows as soon as I said
it,
he went.
Owen is literally in the cut, just watching
Mate,
the Twitterverse.
I'm meticulous. I'm always taking notes. I'm like that.
Right, DJ said
bringing that up.
But what was the point? What's the point I was trying to make? Yeah, I just think that they need to pick the right candidate.
Basically.
Yeah, don't go with the mob. Just if Ten Hag is the one that sticks out the most, then great, do it. But if there is other candidates, something left field, I did speculate a couple of weeks ago that maybe we get a manager very left field. Like we don't know, so they just need to go for the best person for the job.
Could you imagine if they did that?
It's very Man United, though. It is very Man United to go do that.
Wow, it's like the Dybala thing, isn't it? As soon as I saw Dybala's even on a free transfer, I went, "Oh shit!"
United, yeah, here we go. Here we bloody go.
Exactly. Let's move on. Speaking of transfer targets as well, because in addition to all of the Ten Hag stuff, a lot of other news has come out. I do want to talk about Paul Pogba as well, especially his comments about mental health, but also his future. Yeah. Let's start off with the transfer stuff, though, first. James Ducker from The Telegraph has said that Manchester United are keen to add a midfielder or two and a striker to their squad this summer. This continues from Ian Ladyman of the Daily Mail, who has also said that Manchester United are reportedly leading the race to sign Declan Rice as they look to replace Paul Pogba. So you go, okay. You go, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening. And he goes, however, West Ham are demanding a record £150 million fee. Rice is known to be interested in the move. 150 mil, DJ. Thoughts on that one?
That is a hard no. Definitely should not be. No way. No, there's no way on God's green earth that we need to spend that much money on Declan Rice. No, and he's not a Pogba replacement. So when I see stuff like that, I'm like, different position kind of. It's not the same. It isn't the same. I was talking to Ajax. Maybe Gravenberch is someone that would fit more of that Pogba replacement type of role.
He's going to Bayern there, isn't he?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. There's players out there. I just wouldn't spend 150 million on Declan Rice. There's a lot of players in that position. You can go and scout.
There are very few. Just in general, players you would pay 150 million in this climate. I understand, 4 years ago, fees just got completely out of control. That's how you got Harry Maguire for 80 million, just because fees were just insane. But in this sort of post-ish COVID world, in terms of finances, you don't really see fees that big.
Yeah.
You didn't really see them before.
Yeah, Rice for me is a 60 to 65 million. Maybe the deal rises to 70 million. That's being very generous as well. He's around about the 50 to 60 million mark for me, player. Not 150 million. That is absurd. No way.
I mean, we don't even know if Manchester United's budget is 150 mil this summer, right?
That's the thing. So, we heard it's like maybe 80 to 85 million or something like that. Our budget or something along those lines. Just it's a no from me. Owen, it's a no from me. We should stay away from that deal.
Is there any player you could justify that amount of money for right now?
No.
I'm saying with
Haaland,
you.
Maybe Haaland, but
but he's got a release clause, so you know exactly what you're going to pay for him.
Yeah. But remember, Jadon Sancho was 120 million. But it started off as 120 million. We got it from around 70, didn't we? So 75.
But that was that pre or post COVID? I mean, we signed him obviously during, but I don't know if the initial starting point might have been pre.
No, it was in COVID. It was in COVID because they were saying it was right. We're not getting any. They was like, oh no, COVID discounts and stuff like that.
Right.
It was 120.
Of course,
million,
you're right. But I look around at football now, and any player, I just struggle. I really would struggle. I mean, 150 million. That's like, I'm signing the best player in the world. It's a game changer. I sign this person. We win everything. That's realistically that kind of money that you spend on one player. But and don't get me wrong, I like Declan Rice. I saw him play against Sevilla last week for West Ham. I thought he was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But we should be spending like 150 million for 5 players.
But this is the thing. I get worried when I start seeing reports of United linked to players. I mean, I ain't even got a manager. I just think, so who's identifying these players? How do you know that if it's a Ten Hag or a Poch, that they even want Rice? Even though he's a good player, it might not fit what they want to do. So it's always one of those things.
Do you think
It
it's
has
brought
to
up in
be.
discussions?
It
Hi,
has to
Eric.
be.
How's it going? Okay, what's your philosophy? What's your view on the club? And he's asking about budget. Imagine he's
Yeah.
asking about budget, and he goes, "Yeah, okay. What kind of budget am I looking at?" I go, "We're thinking of getting Declan Rice for 150 million." He goes, "See you later, guys.
See
I'm
you
off."
later. Exactly. So
You know.
I just hope that the board isn't lying to him. I hope that United have been honest with him and he's accepted whatever answer or reason that they've given him. 150 million for Rice is a big no from me. I don't even think we should be linked with any players until Ten Hag becomes in post. And then when we're linked with players, then you can then kind of get an understanding that it's gone through the manager. The manager's given his approval for these players to be looked at.
Well, maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's what's going on at the moment, because the scouting department and the recruitment department, they can't just stop, I suppose. So they've got to just continue doing their work, getting information, sizing up players, all that kind of stuff. And then you would hope that when this new manager is in place, that's when they kind of, slide it under the manager's nose and go, okay, this is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
And any manager would be like I like Declan Rice, but 150 million, especially in the situation of, the only way, I'm stretching here, DJ, really stretching. The only way that I think you could be able to justify it is if we had essentially a perfect team or squad, and you just went, we just need one player. That's all we need, just one player. Then maybe you could go, okay, the valuation is still way off for me. But when you've got a summer of need a striker, need probably two midfielders. One of them is this, Declan Rice type, but we still need two midfielders. We probably need a centre back. We probably need new fullbacks as well. You're talking about 5 or 6 positions there. And if you're going to spend 150 million on one, and how do you go to the negotiating table, right? Because when you've spent 150 million and people know you've got that money, when you go in for a player, go, okay, 30 million, they go, 150.
150, mate. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be difficult. And another thing that's going to hamper us is the outgoings. These large contracts. Like, there is so much for us to do in a short space of time. It's gonna be quite manic. I suspect, United will probably bring in 3 to 4 players. Not really big mark. I think maybe one marquee signing within that. But the rest very good up and coming players. Just needing that next step. I think that's the best way to go, especially with someone like if it is Ten Hag that's involved. Even if it's Poch, I think Poch will do a little bit more of the same, that type of profile of player. But 150 million for one player, I can't see happening.
I hope not. I really hope not. Could you imagine a summer where they don't go with, like you said, they don't go with the people's choice of the coach, and they spend 150 million on one player? Oh my God.
Complete meltdown. The pundits, everyone, it was like they haven't learned. They're just doing the same thing that they've done. Yeah. And then it's big glazes out. It's still glazes
plus
out,
new Maguire contract.
If I see that, I'm going to be sick. I'll be sick. If Maguire gets a new contract, I'll be sick.
I'll actually channel. That's views.
Yeah. I'll literally just be sick. I'll get clipped and everything. But Harry Maguire shouldn't be given a new contract. Question is though, quick question: if Ten Hag does come in, does Maguire start for him?
Well, again, this is what I've said before with when it comes to Ronaldo or whoever. I think that's got to be part of the recruitment process, has it not? I think that would have to be a question that's asked, I don't know who would initiate that, but either Ten Hag would say, okay, what's the Ronaldo situation? Is he staying? And if they go, yep, he's going to stay, and then they fire it back to him, okay, how do you get the best out of Ronaldo? Then that's part of the recruitment process. I would assume either, again, Ten Hag or whoever will ask the question, what would you do when it comes to the captaincy? What would you do when it comes to, all this kind of stuff? Because it depends how in-depth these conversations are. But I have to think that would be a discussion point. And I do think it's an easier decision for a new manager to make. I know a lot of people had said, previously, it's a quick win for Ralph Rangnick, but it's not. It's not a quick win for Ralph Rangnick to strip Harry Maguire of the captaincy mid-season when his job was essentially to come in and boost morale. And that probably, and you would be stuck with him anyway. It's easier to do that in the postseason. It's easier to sort of go, okay, we're going to go on to different kind of, different philosophy, just different person, reset. And then either Harry can like it or he can't. And then if he doesn't, you can go, okay, go, all that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, because I haven't, I don't know. What do you think he'll do? I'll turn it back on you.
it's really tough to say. I'd like to think he just comes in and says, "Look, Maguire, you're surplus to requirements, mate. You're going to be a bit part player this season." Because I think to sell Harry Maguire is not, but it depends if we can buy like an up and coming young defender who's really good.
That's the difference.
Then that's the difference. It gives it a reason. It gives us a reason to bench Maguire. But if not, he'll play him. He'll play him.
Interesting. Lil Yo-Yo says, what other rice would you prefer over Declan Rice? DJ, what other rice? Egg fried, pilau?
You know, I like basmati rice. I do like a bit of long grain. Pilau rice is really good. Yeah, I like a bit of spicy rice as well. So yeah, jollof rice is nice. Yeah, big up KG. Jollof rice is nice. So yeah,
it is nice. That's the problem sometimes with just like the basmati stuff is just very plain. You've got to do something to it. You've got to
do something. You've got to jazz it up a little bit.
You have to, and it depends on the meal. Depends what kind of meal you give me, Lil Yo-Yo, as well. Because I'm not putting basmati with, I don't know,
I'll tell you what, Owen, right? I tell you what, if Declan Rice signs for United, on stream, we've got to eat some form of rice. Literally on stream.
For 150 mil? Line him up. What, on its own? I mean, there is... I've got to eat a bowl of plain basmati rice.
Or, jollof rice, or a bit of spicy rice. Or you can
I can do that.
Yeah, you can put some stuff in it, like veg or whatever you want to put in it, meat or whatever. But yeah, we got to eat something. We got to eat something.
Cheating. Let's talk about Paul Pogba briefly. First of all, as I mentioned, he's been speaking a lot about mental health, and myself, as a big mental health advocate, someone who, let's be honest, I think everyone has struggled with mental health at points in their life. Everyone does. But he's spoken openly about it, and I think that's very powerful, especially over what he's been going through the last couple of months with burglary and all that kind of stuff. So he said, and this was in a quite wide-ranging interview, which he does talk on his future, and we'll talk about that in a second, but he said, I've had depression in my career, but we don't talk about it. Sometimes you don't know who you are. You just want to isolate yourself, be alone. These are unmistakable signs. He continues, football is the most individual team sport. We are judged every 3 days. We have to be good all the time. We have problems like everyone else, whether with our partners, our coach, in the everyday life. Eventually, you will feel it in your body, in your head, and you may have a month, even a year, where you are not well. But you don't say it in any case publicly. All top athletes go through these moments, but few talk about it. Personally, it started when with Jose Mourinho at Manchester United. You ask yourself questions. You wonder if you are at fault because you've never experienced these moments in your life. We footballers earn a lot of money. We don't complain, really, but that doesn't prevent us from going through moments like everyone else in life that are more difficult than others. Because you make money, you always have to be happy. It's not like that. But in football, it does not pass. We are, however, not superheroes. We are only human beings. And I think Paul Pogba, to be honest, deserves a lot of credit for saying that because, again, I think people forget. And we've spoken about this before when it comes to the Rashford situation. I do think people forget that. And it's such a cliche. And people will say, you're talking in, cliches and all that, Owen. But like, money is not everything, folks. It really is not. And you can have all the money in the world and not be happy. Or, mental health does not discriminate. It really does not. It doesn't matter if you're the most successful or least successful person in the world, if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're in the middle, whatever. And sometimes we have to remember that. And that's kind of the problem with social media, isn't it? Is that I guess sometimes we think that these people are untouchable and, they can handle the criticism and all that kind of stuff. But everybody's different. And I think Paul Pogba deserves a ton of credit for speaking out on that. I really do. Now, talking about his future, he said, quote, "We have to be honest. I'm not satisfied over the last 5 years, but not at all. This year, it's dead. We will win nothing again, whether it's with Manchester or in another club. I want to win trophies." When talking about what he wants to do when his contract expires, he said, quote, "To continue to win, to progress, and to make up for those years when I couldn't win trophies. You have to be honest. That doesn't satisfy me over the last 5 seasons, but not at all." Then speaks about his role in the side. He said, "Didier Deschamps entrusted me with a role that I know. But at Manchester United, do I really have a role? I asked the question and I don't have the answer." He said, in the French team, I have a lot more playing time. The system is different than in a club. In fact, it's simple at the Blues. I play, and in addition, at my post, I know my role. I feel the confidence of the coach and of the players. It's normal to feel this difference with Manchester United because it's hard to be consistent when you often change position, game system, or partners. What do you think about his comments when it comes to his future and his role in the side?
Oh, man, Paul Pogba. So it was no surprise to me when I saw the Paul Pogba sort of like interview. There's some stuff I agree with him. You know, I do think he has played a variety of positions. You know, partners and a lot of the different players at Manchester United have been chopping and changed. You know, he's been through loads of different managers that have managed Manchester United. So it has been sort of a very indifferent, indifferent life at Manchester United for him. But what I will say is that he's acting like some of his performances haven't warranted him being moved to these positions, i.e. his lack of defensive capability, or he gets caught on the ball too much when he's in the six. So we moved him a little bit forward, like he's given more of a license to attack. We have, and I think most managers, I think Ollie's done it as well, apart from Jose. We have catered for him in every way possible. He didn't like playing too deep because it takes away from his game. So we tell him that you can get a license to go forward. He has had opportunities to nail down certain positions in the team. You know, a lot of people said to me earlier, "Oh yeah, but him playing left wing." Let's be honest, it wasn't an actual left winger position he was playing. It was just more left side midfield, closer, where you can get involved with the number 10, get closer to the strikers. He wasn't a winger. He wasn't. He might have been there as the team sheet rolled out against whatever team, but that wasn't essentially his job to be a winger. His job was to actually just carry on in that sort of number 10 space and move forward, because for France, he's really good on the left-hand side of midfield. Yes, he hasn't had the world-class CDM, but at what point does Pogba actually turn around and say, you know what, some of these bad performances are actually my fault? Because we've seen performances where he's played, let's say, in the middle of the park for a string of games and he gets caught on the ball and it leads to a goal, or he doesn't pass it, or he holds onto the ball for too long. It ends up in the opposition team's counterattack. Like, it's happened time and time again. These aren't system or managerial things. These are you, Paul. That's you. That's you doing that. So I think listening to him, yes, there is some things that I agree with, but there are a lot of things where I'm just like, well, Paul, you need to, be accountable as well for what you're doing as well, because he's played 6, 8, and 10, basically 6, 8, and 10
every position.
But he can play those positions, though. We've been told a million times he can actually play those positions. So I don't see what the problem is from that aspect. But yeah, it's open for interpretation. I just think him speaking out, it was always going to happen when he's away. I don't know.
Break.
Yeah, like clockwork, he's going to do that. But what I think he's also doing as well, because he's very clever with his wording, is he doesn't want to put himself out too much at United, because we don't know who's coming in the door, and he could be on their list as someone that's going to be integral to the plan. So we don't know. So he's playing it safe.
Ajax is in the chat, says big up Owen and DJ. Big up Ajax. Be sure to check him out, his channel. Be sure to check out We Talk Ajax as well. Now's the perfect time. If you're listening to us ramble on all that kind of stuff, talk about Ten Hag, I'm sure they're going to be talking about it. They're going to be talking about the news. They're going to be talking about, obviously, Ajax to the end of the season, right? Yeah. So if you want that sort of week-to-week update as to what's going on from the Dutch perspective, actually in Amsterdam, go check them out. Go subscribe. Now is the perfect time. Killen says, I bet Ten Hag went into that interview and said, I will make you money, and left. And the news goes, Manchester United's board is highly impressed of Ten Hag's interview. Imagine that. Just goes in, what's your philosophy? He just went like that. Yeah. And left, and they went, I like him. I like him. I like that guy a lot. The Pogba thing, yeah. First of all, like you said, I think the fact of him talking an international break, par for the course. Yeah, that's what he does. And also, look, people say, Pogba always talks an international break. He always gets asked on international breaks as well, in fairness to him. Yeah, he always gets asked. I agree with you. It's a bit of a vicious cycle, isn't it? The whole inconsistency, but being moved around position-wise. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a chicken and egg kind of situation. Are you inconsistent because you're being moved around? Or is it a case of you're inconsistent, so you need to be moved around to try and find the best sort of solution? Yeah. And I think it's a bit of both with Paul Pogba. Yeah. I always say this. It's the same with Marcus Rashford, because we heard similar things when it came to Rashford recently of, he just feels like he's not got the run in the side in one position, and that's why he's not been playing well. It's like, well, if you had a game, probably just one, let's be honest, or 2 games back-to-back, where you were in, whether it's Rashford on the left wing or if it's Pogba in central midfield, and you just nailed it, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 performance, that would be your role. But That doesn't happen. That's the issue. It doesn't happen. Now, granted, you could say that maybe certainly under Ollie, he was so focused on we need McTominay and Fred to protect the back four. We need to be, defensively robust in the middle and all that kind of stuff. But then, like you said there, then I guess to Pogba, it would be on him to adapt, be like, well, I need to work on that defensive side of the game, you know, and that's why if he's ever playing deep, I'm always worried. Because he will give the ball away at some point. We've seen so many goals from that before. When it comes to his future, I've said it since the beginning of the season that he's going to wait and see at the end. As of right now, feels very unlikely that he'll stay. But I'm kind of am with you in the sense of, should we get Ten Hag, and maybe Ten Hag has the chat, and maybe the opportunity to go elsewhere doesn't really come up like he thought it would, then maybe he'll stay. He's got an offer on the table, 400K, a lot of money. You know, but as he said in his interview, and I don't necessarily blame him for this, and I'd be interested to see what you think about this. When he says, look, I signed in 2016 for 5 seasons. When I signed, it was to win things, to win trophies. 5 seasons have gone, and I only won something in my first season. That's it. I'm 29 now. I do want to win things. I'm not really motivated by money. I'm motivated by trophies. And is he going to get that at Manchester United? On the verge of a rebuild at Manchester United, the trophies really look like they're on the horizon. Probably not,
It's true.
And that's the issue. Do you feel like it's a case of, and that's the biggest Paul Pogba discussion, isn't it? It's a case of, is it him being inconsistent, or is it Manchester United also not being good enough? And then both sides just go like that.
Yeah, I think he was made certain promises when he came in that United didn't fulfill on their end. I.e. challenging for trophies. I think everyone has had a manager in their life, in all walks of life, no matter what you work as, has had a manager that they don't get on with, that they don't like, that feels that they may be picking on them. That was Jose to him, so he had a really horrible time under Jose. With Ollie, I think Ollie did everything, and this is one thing I will credit Ollie with. Ollie did everything he could to make Paul Pogba feel comfortable at Manchester United. It's just that the team as a whole was leaking goals, especially through the midfield. So Ollie had he really had no choice really but to play McFred there. He had to shore it up a little bit. And even then we were still leaking a few goals here and there. So Pogba was kind of the odd man out because he does have that Achilles heel of not being, and that's the thing. I've seen him, he defends in he can play defensive in bursts, but it's not his game. You want him kind of up in the final third of the pitch, threading passes and stuff like that. But again, we had Bruno in the number 10, so he was not really going to ever get a number 10 berth.
And Bruno was more effective as soon as he came in than Pogba had really ever been.
Exactly, and that's where the issue lay. I think if Manchester United would have signed, this world-class CDM we've been waiting for like 2-3 years, maybe it would have given him a bit more of a license to get up there next to Bruno, as if we're playing sort of like 2 10s, maybe, but it's never panned out that way. And I do sympathize with him in an extent where, he's been through so many different managers. There's been so much different tension. There's been drama. It's been sort of like a drama-filled 5 years since he's been there.
It's the pantomime.
It is. But I don't think he's also helped himself. So my conclusion to this is that, if Ten Hag comes in and has a chat with him and he thinks that Paul Pogba can be a part of what he wants to build at Manchester United, then great, stay. But I do think for all parties, it's best if he moves on. If he wants to go and win something quite quickly and quite easily, go La Liga or go to PSG. You're going to win something there. You definitely will. So go across to there.
I can see it from Pogba's perspective because you have to cast your mind back. That sort of summer of 2016, United fans were so excited. Of course we were, because Jose had come in, and despite the way it ended at Chelsea, the season prior, a couple of seasons prior, he'd won the league. He was still serial winner Jose Mourinho. People were excited about that. The players that came in, it was Zlatan, Pogba, Mkhitaryan, Bailly. And, apart from Bailly, there were 3 players that people knew a lot about and were really excited about. And there was this feeling of, United are back, or United are going to be winning things. That's what we want to do. And despite finishing 6th in that first season and not being great in the league, we did win things. Won the Carling, what's it called? EFL Cup, Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
I went from every sponsor then. I went for every sponsor to get to that. I might as well have gone Worthington, Carlington,
Worthington Cup,
Carlin, EFL, Carabao. I got there in the end.
Yeah.
God, how many sponsors?
So many.
Nevertheless, yeah, see, we won that and we won the Europa League. And I think he was thinking, yeah, okay. And then it didn't happen, you know. Or the next season, we finished second. And for a brief period, like, oh, here we go. But again, it just didn't happen. And I can understand it. He might feel like, well, maybe I got sold a bit of a dream. But also, you were part of that dream. You know, you can't. Manchester United haven't failed, you know, not just because of Paul Pogba. You know what I mean? He's been involved in that whole process, you know, because of his performances not being good enough. The fact that 5 years later, we are still having the same conversation about Paul Pogba of how'd you get the best out of him? That would imply that either nobody's come up with that answer,
not working,
or, you know, Manchester United don't have the facilities to come up with that answer. Yeah. And maybe it's best for all parties that they just go in different directions. I don't know. You know, gut feeling. What do you think when it comes to Pogba? Do you think he stays or do you think he goes?
I think he goes. We're going to see a little bit more of this as time gets closer to the end of the season. He's not going to feel as confined and suppressed as he probably has felt in the last year or so. He's going to speak a little bit more freely. I just think that he may have a rude awakening in terms of not many clubs might come in for him because of his wages.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a sticking point. So if I was him, I wouldn't totally snooker yourself with Manchester United straight away.
Which I think is what he's doing.
Yeah. I think he should sort of keep every single option open, even the option of staying at Manchester United because it's a new manager, because it's a brand new project essentially. And I think Paul Pogba, you can tell he wants to be part of something big. He wants to be part of something great. I think for me, his performances dipped, especially, and I'm going to say this with my full chest, when Ander Herrera left. Well, once Ander Herrera left that midfield of him, Matic and Pogba, his performances have never been the same because he was on fire that season when Herrera was there. He was absolutely on fire. And it's because you've got a player
and he had a point to prove too after the Jose stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And you had a player there that would literally do all the dirty work, the dark arts. He would do it all. Herrera, still one of my favorite Man United past players. He did all the dark arts. And for me, we've just never managed to regain that balance. We've never regained that balance in the midfield. I think the addition of Bruno, in a way, kind of offset that balance because where does Pogba play then, sort of thing? Pogba was more of the 10 when it was him, Matic, and Herrera. So I think it comes down to systems as well. You know, I think if we could develop a system where we have Pogba and a Bruno being able to play high up the pitch and be attacking, and then have these sort of soul-destroying, CDM, all-destroying, passer of the ball. That's what you would want ideally in a United team with Pogba in it. But if you don't get that CDM, Pogba has to defend a little bit more, and he's not really great at that. So then he gets exposed even more. He loses the ball more, and so on and so forth. So you're right. You said it was a vicious cycle. It definitely is. I do see him probably going.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I'm with you. I do think he probably will go. Like we said before, though, I wouldn't be shocked if also he was a bit like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because we'll see what options are available to him. Because I do think there were probably more options than there might have been previously. And what I mean by that is at the beginning of the season, when it came to all the Barcelona stuff, it was like, Barcelona ain't got the money. And, you know, they got nothing. But, you know, things have kind of changed a little bit. The Spotify deal, all that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of going on now. Reportedly, they got a bit of money, you know, when it might come to Haaland. There's going to be quite a few big players moving, I think, this summer. And that lends to a bit of a domino effect. PSG, I think, going to go over a massive overhaul, kind of looks like in the summer, right? You know, Mbappe's going to go. If he goes to Madrid, you'd probably say that probably takes away him going to Madrid. But does it take him going away to PSG?
Yeah.
You know, or Barcelona? Depends where Haaland goes. If Haaland goes to, say, Barcelona, they go, oh, maybe PSG, and maybe then his options are limited. I don't buy into the Juventus one. I just don't, because I really don't think they've got the money, especially when they got rid of Ronaldo for Ronaldo's. Well, Ronaldo said, I'm going, but they were like, fine, because of his wages. Yeah. At the same time, there's a 400k contract on the table when it comes to Paul Pogba, and I'd be surprised if Juventus were willing to do that for a 29-year-old, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a tough one. Like I said, I think that I would probably lean into that he's gone. But at this stage, I wouldn't be shocked if there's a bit of a U-turn, right? We've seen stuff like that before. And a new coach can change things. It really can.
Yeah.
It's just a case of, does he get sold on that dream one more time?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been there before. You know, I think Rangnick coming in was kind of, as I said, a stopgap. Oli was I reckon, the time for rejuvenation with Pogba. You know, he did seem to have a good relationship with Oli quite early on. Now, if it's someone, I reckon if it's a manager that Pogba respects, because I think that does come into it. If it's a manager that he respects, comes in and has really good ideas, you know, the money's there to be spent to buy brand new players, and maybe a couple of players do come through the door who are really good players. Maybe Pogba says, actually, hang on, I'll stick around for this. But in saying that, if he's just solely focused on winning a trophy, winning something before his career ends, as say in the next, because I reckon Pogba could play till probably about 34, 35, around that. If that's the case, then yeah, go and get a quick fix. Go to PSG. They win the league every year. Go over there, win the league there. So, yeah.
Exactly. And it depends, I suppose, how, like you said, those other sides, how it plays out. I mean, PSG at the moment, they're not going to win the Champions League. Of course, they're out, but they're going to win the league. Yep. You know, Real Madrid, they got absolutely smashed by Barcelona at the weekend, but they're still in the Champions League and they're going to win La Liga. So, you know, they might have a good end to the season. He's like, right, I'm off. I'm going to go there. So all of that kind of stuff is... hey, that's what we're going to be chatting about for the next few months. That's the content, folks. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Again, apologies for the glitch when it comes to YouTube. We have been live this whole time. If you've been waiting for an hour, apologies. Could you imagine? You've missed all of this.
Wow.
But be sure to smash a like on the like button anyway, so you can get those folks in. As I said before, if you want Ten Hag as the manager, smash a like on the like button or click subscribe as well. Road to 100K, right? Only around the corner. We're this close, DJ.
This close. I know. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. It's going to be, it's nearly there.
Nearly there. Anyway, guys, look, we're out of here. Have a good Wednesday and we'll speak to you again very, very soon. Peace.